start a recording as we speak. Welcome all to the monthly Fellowship Assembly meeting of the Rotary Club Canada 1. My name Peter Denoy, and I am currently outside on the balcony in the Dominican Republic and hosting the meeting here for you all. I like to go around the screen. That's a new way of saying things. I'm going around the screen introducing, let everybody introduce themselves. Janet, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Janet Stead, Georgian Bay, Ontario.
Welcome, Janet. Angel.
Well, I'm Angel Blanco from Madrid originally, but temporarily here in Hamilton.
You finally made him in. They did let you in. So
Yes.
I
didn't catch where are you, Angel?
Pardon?
Where are you?
Well, I'm at Hamilton now. Hamilton, Ontario.
No, in Hamilton.
Oh, my
Hamilton.
sympathies, Angel.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Next.
First place I landed in Canada, so what to Canada?
Okay. Following next, Judy.
Hi, Judy Brown, and I am at Pigeon Lake, Alberta.
All right, Judy. Kitty.
I'm Kitty Butchko, and I'm in Sarnia, Ontario.
Welcome. Jim Canyon.
Hi, Jim Canyon. I'm in Whitehorse, Yukon, and yeah, I did 20 years in Ontario, but I escaped during the Ray regime.
Bryce, you do another introduction, real introduction for the record.
Sure, Bryce Lambert from Edmonton, Alberta.
All right, welcome to David.
David Wert in Cochrane, Alberta.
All right, and now we have a special guest, which I knew he was going to come. Somehow he received our bulletin and got notice of this. Alex, could you please introduce yourself?
Good evening, fellow Rotarians. My name is Jonathan. I come from Kampala.
Oops, just froze.
Okay.
Sounded like Kampala, though.
Kampala, Nigeria, indeed. Yes. And we come back to him maybe a little bit later. Okay. But are you back? Are you live or not?
I'm from Kampala. Hello?
Yeah, keep going, you froze.
Yes, I come from Kampala, Uganda. I'm a charter president for a Rotaract Club, District 9211. Right now, I'm in Iraq, working with U.S. Army on a certain project. I'm glad to be in this meeting.
Fantastic. Awesome to see you, to have you here. And are you still a Rotaractor or are you a Rotarian already?
I'm still a Rotaract. I haven't transitioned yet. I want to transition once I finish my contract here in Iraq.
In Iraq, okay. Welcome. We'll have an interesting speaker today, and look forward to seeing you from time to time at our club. And so I'd like to move on to Nelson and introduce Nelson Scott, who will be talking to us tonight. He is Edmontonian, he's a Rotarian, he's an author, he is a man of ideas, and I am awfully excited to have him here. Ali, who is traveling, brought him. He has joined the 2020 conference as well and is participating that way. But today he will talk some more about his real life and real life work. Nelson, go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Okay, I'll talk. I'm actually in Vancouver in a coffee shop, so if there's noise behind me, you'll understand what is happening. Okay, I'm just going to, I've got a few slides I'm going to talk to as we go through. So I'm just, Ellie taught me how to share things, so I'll do that.
I have muted everybody. Jonathan, that's a normal procedure at a Zoom meeting, if you don't have the floor, to mute yourself. That way we don't have any background information. And I can do that from here, or you can do it yourself.
It's okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing, so please bear with me.
What are you trying to share? What are you trying to share?
I've got some slides, and I'm getting lost here. I can see them, but of course you can't. If you could, you couldn't figure out what I'm doing. Did that work? Nope, it didn't work at all.
No, you just have to have what you have on your screen and then press share.
Okay, well, we will try that again.
So,
except I've lost my share. Okay, let me. Okay, here, we'll try it again. There we go. Is that, I hope you're seeing the screen now.
Yes, good.
Okay.
We see, thanks, great job,
okay.
5
Thanks,
ingredients.
great job. That's, well, actually, that's the title of my book, and it's the title of the presentation. And and what we're going to talk about is the 5 ingredients that take staff recognition to the next level. What makes it meaningful to the recipients. And in terms of myself, my focus in life is providing people with the tools to hire, engage, and retain the right people. This is a copy of the book that I wrote several years ago now. So I want you to time me. This is going to be timed in terms of seconds. And Peter, I just wanted to thank you for the introduction. I appreciated what you said. It kind of introduced me, let people know who I was. And as a speaker, it's always nice when someone does that. It kind of reduces my stress and creates some sort of connection between me and the members of the audience. So I asked you to time that. About how many seconds did that take?
13. 13.
13. Oh, I'm getting really efficient. Okay, because what I was trying to do is create the idea of a 1-minute phrasing. And this is an idea that comes from Spencer Johnson and Ken Blanchard from the 1-minute managers, one of the 3 concepts that they present there. And very simply, it comes down to this. We tell people that work for us, we're going to provide you feedback. If they do a good job, we'll let them know. If we're not satisfied, we'll let them know, because the lack of feedback is really difficult for people. They just kind of imagine what the feedback would be if it was there. So we promise feedback, and having done that, you want to provide, in this case, the praise immediately. The longer it waits, the less effective it becomes. So in providing the feedback, you want to be specific. You want to describe, in my case, I tried to describe what Peter had done and what he said in his introduction. I also talked a little bit about my feelings in terms of, this reduced my stress level, made me feel a little more confident, a little more connected with the audience that I'm speaking to. If I was doing this for real, there'd be a moment where I just pause, and I would pause, and that would be an opportunity for whoever I was praising to just kind of maybe feel what I was feeling. And then I would wrap up by saying, that's exactly what I want to see in the future. Encourage what you want to see more of. We're talking about recognizing and acknowledging contributions and achievements, and what we want to do is praise people for what we want to see more of. Finally, if I was in person, I would shake hands or maybe tap the person on the shoulder. When I'm doing the presentation live, I often say to the person, just introduce me. In some work environments, you might even give the person a hug, but I assure them I never hug on the first seminar. So, to get started, I'm going to be giving you some tips related to staff recognition. And I thought I would begin with the first tip, which I describe as the 3 A's. When you hear an idea, you may say, that would work for me, I'll adopt it. Take the idea and run with it. The second thing is, you may say, well, that's an idea that I could use, but I've got to tweak it a little bit so I could use it. And the third thing that happens is you would abandon the idea. This is just rejected. It just would not work in our workplace culture. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. Early in the book that I wrote, I say there's hundreds of tips in here on how to recognize staff. And quite frankly, some of them are ones I would never use. I can't understand how they work, but they work for other people. So I included them on that basis. So when I talk about the word great, that's actually an acronym for the 5 ingredients of staff recognition. And I just want to go through those quickly, and then I'll come back and focus a little bit more on each of them. And the first of them, the recognition should be genuine. Genuine means it's sincere. There's a sincere sense of appreciation for what the person has said or done. The second one, the R, is that it's relevant. Organizations say these are our values, this is what's important to us, and then they'll end up recognizing people for other types of things. So we'll talk more about that. It should be explicit, be specific. I think I talked about that when I was talking about the 1-minute phrasing. Describe exactly what the person did. And I'll give you an example of how not to do that. And a common example that gets used all the time, unfortunately. The A is recognition is appropriate. Different people need to be recognized in different ways. And it's important as a person who's in a leadership role or a manager or a supervisor, they know the people they supervise well enough to find the right way to do it. And finally, the longer you wait to provide recognition, the less effective it is. So recognition should be timely. When we put all of those together, we come up with a concept of great staff recognition. So let's get started and work our way through these. I'll just skip through that. Okay. Have you ever been in a situation where someone said something like, this is a really well-written report, but it's late. Or you did a good job of dealing with that customer, but if you had followed the advice I gave you in the first place, you wouldn't have had that problem. So what happens there is the word but becomes kind of verbal eraser. Everything before the but is, well, you can fill in whatever word you want that would sound like bullshit, except I would never use that word because my mother wouldn't let me. So let's go. So what we're doing is talking about that first ingredient, that the recognition is genuine. It comes from a sincere belief that what the person did was worthy of being recognized. They did their job well, and we want to express appreciation to them doing the job well. Just an aside here, it is really weird to be sitting in a coffee shop, hearing what's going on here, and getting no audience feedback. So I understand you're muted. I understand why I'm not hearing you. I hope that doesn't mean you've gone to sleep. Okay, so if we've been Vegas, and we all know the saying that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, the same thing I think sometimes happens in terms of what happens when strategic planning occurs. What happens during that strategic planning session remains kind of at the corporate level, at the senior level, at the board level. It doesn't, people around the organization just don't really feel how it has any effect on their life. They may see a poster up on the wall with the words, these are our values, this is our mission, and so on, but it's not real. Well, recognition, this is where recognition can really become a strategic tool, because we can use recognition to remind people of what is important. So that is the second part. The recognition is relevant. It relates to what we say is important. If we say that it's important that we are honest and we have integrity, and we see people acting in that fashion, we should be providing positive feedback on that. Often what happens, well, I'll tell you a quick story. This couple is walking down the street late one evening, and they see a man in a parking lot. He's on his hands and knees, and he's looking for something. And they say, well, let's go help this guy. So they go over and they say, what have you lost? He says, I've lost my car keys. They say, okay, we'll help you find them. So they're down, they're looking for them. And finally the woman says to the guy, exactly where were you when you lost your keys? And he points to a far dark corner of the parking lot. He said, I was over there. Then why are we searching here? And the answer he gives them is, well, the light is better here. So what happens often, we recognize people for things that are easy to see, but not particularly important and not relevant. So the second ingredient is it should be relevant. It should be based on what the organization's purpose is, what its values are, what its mission is as an organization. So the question is, why are we here? What is our purpose? And organizations need to do that. An exercise that I sometimes do when I'm doing some training for a company, where everyone works, is we take the values and we put one value in each of several posted chart papers on the wall, and we divide into groups and we say, okay, what behaviors reflect these values? And people start listing behaviors that if they see them, they would say, yeah, that reflects our value of operating with integrity or being focused on customers or whatever the values of the organization is. And then we take it a step further, we actually encourage people to go to other values and add to the list that the first group put there. And they get a fairly comprehensive list of behaviors that they should be recognizing, behaviors that are relevant. So I don't think you'll ever find this card at Hallmark. Thank you for nothing in particular. However, you're going to find a card that says almost the same thing. Thank you for everything you do. Because when you're thanking people for everything they do, you're really thanking people for nothing. And when we send that message, we're saying we're not paying enough attention to what you do to know what you do well, so that we know what we should recognize you for. And people go on, and it comes across as not being genuine because the person providing the recognition goes on and on and on, and hoping that he will say something that actually will stick. So that brings us through the third ingredient, which is recognition should be explicit. It should be specific, include specific description of what the person did. So here's a little experiment I did several years ago. A client had invited me in to run their HR department for a while they were waiting for the new person to come to work for them. And there were 3 women I worked fairly closely with, and I wanted to say thank you when my time was up there. And so I went to the new boss and said, can I take them out for an extended lunch hour? And he said, sure. So we went up to a nice restaurant. We had a nice conversation. The bill came, and I went to pay it. And they took that as a signal it was time to go back to work. And I said, whoa, it's not time to go back to work. And I gave each of them an envelope, and each envelope had a bit of cash. And I said, what you have to do now is go to the mall, and you have 1 hour. Well, they thanked me for the cash. And I said, well, it comes with strings. One of the strings is you have to go to the mall. You have 1 hour to spend the money I gave you, and you have to spend it on something for yourself. And I thought, in my generalization kind of way, I said to myself, what would be more perfect? 3 women told to go shopping for themselves with somebody else's money on company time. What could be more perfect than that? What could be more wrong than that? I later discovered. What I discovered is not all the women love to shop. The first 2 came back, and they came back where we had agreed to meet, and they showed me what they had bought, and they each had a little bit of money left over, which they gave to me, which we donated to a charity. The third one was really hesitant to open her package, and finally when she opened it, I looked at it and I said, my goodness, that's exactly what I would have bought. She bought 2 or 3 books and a couple CDs, and she says, looked at me and says, you know what, I really hate shopping. I particularly hate shopping for myself. When you gave me that money, I had no idea what I was going to do, what I was going to buy. The first thing I did is I phoned my husband and asked his advice. What should I buy? So the message of that is not all women love to shop. And the message in our context is recognition must be appropriate. That means we need to know people well enough to know how to recognize them in appropriate ways. So what are some of the things we might look at there? Well, the truth of the matter is there's no equivalent to the Swiss Army knife. There's no one way that we can recognize people. So some of the things we want to know, what are their interests? What are their hobbies? What about their career goals? How could we use that knowledge in some way to recognize them for their contributions. Say, you know, you've worked really hard on this. Here's an opportunity to attend some training that I know relates to what you'd like to do in the future. What charities do they support, beside the Rotary Foundation, of course? What's their favorite character or actor or athlete? We can use that information sometimes. What do they like to read? You know, what's their favorite treat? And another question that we also need to ask is, where do you like to be recognized? Some people love to be brought up in front of an audience and have everyone applaud them. And so other people will actually avoid that. I used to coordinate a service awards event when I was working for a school district, and we had some teachers that would never show up for those things because they just hated kind of being the center of attention. So we needed to find ways to recognize them. And so some people want to be recognized in public, some would prefer to be recognized in private. So with this information, we can find all kinds of little tools that we can use to recognize people. You know, if there happen to be like Disney characters, we might give them a mug with, we might give them a special treat, or we might give them a coffee card or something like that. The key thing to remember is these things are only tools. They help us convey our message of thanks, but it will be our words, what we say when we present these things to people, that will make the difference in terms of how they feel. So at this point, if I was doing a live presentation, I would point to a glass of Coke that I had poured at the very beginning of my presentation, which is usually 60 to 90 minutes earlier. And I would say, does anybody want this Coke? And the response I would get is, well, no. And I'd say, well, why not? Well, the reason we don't want Coke that's been sitting there getting warm and getting flat is because it is flat. It is warm, and it's not something most people want to drink. Though I have discovered occasionally somebody that will take it. So we want to recognize, the message for recognition is we want to recognize before the fizz is gone, before the excitement is gone, before the memory of what the person has done is gone. So the last ingredient of staff recognition is to be timely. So let me pull out a few ideas of how to recognize people. And one of my favorite is the thank you note. And I'm going to give you a few suggestions of how you can use the thank you note. The first thing is write it, handwritten. A handwritten thank you note is so much more powerful than an email or a text message or something that you've done on your computer. Put it in writing. And I always like to use green ink. It doesn't have to be green, but please never use black, because that is the color of stuff that comes out of a photocopy. And it's like we're sending the same message to everyone. And the other one is it shouldn't be red. And the reason it shouldn't be red, well, you all went to school, didn't you? You know what red meant. And the other thing is mail it and put a real stamp on the envelope. The bigger, the more colorful the stamp, the more powerful the message is. So here's a couple other suggestions, which I pulled out of another presentation, which I'm not doing with you. And that is, you know, carry thank you notes with you. Have them available all the time. Have them sitting on your desk. If you, you know, you can look over every so often, you see that stack of thank you notes and say to yourself, who haven't I thanked recently? Who should I be thanking? If you carry them with you in your briefcase or in your purse or something like that, it's something to fill the time when you're waiting for a meeting to begin, waiting to board an aircraft, waiting to see your doctor, any of those times that you land up waiting. Another thing is, you know, there's one design of thank you notes. Buy several different kinds of thank you notes. Don't send the same thank you note in terms of appearance to everyone all the time. If you provide the thank you note to someone, what you can do is you can always follow up in person and repeat the praise, because that just adds to the power. And a little trick that I like to do when I hire, well, I don't hire anybody anymore, but when you hire someone, is go to them and say, hand them a thank you note and say, here's a thank you. I just want to put my thoughts in writing, how I appreciate you. And by the way, here's a file folder, and I would encourage you to use this file folder to keep all the thank you notes you're going to get. for all the time that you worked with us. And another tip that I like, which has nothing to do with being an employer, but all of us can use, is it's the last gift you want kids to open on Christmas Day. Put a box full of thank you notes under the Christmas tree. We're going to be training a whole new generation. So here's a little bit of a homework assignment if you want to take it, and that is to write a thank you note to someone that you have not written one to recently, and deliver it by hand, and then watch the reaction. And I would encourage you to actually tell me how the people react, because sometimes the way people react is pretty impressive. So another tool that I really like is the Post-it note. Here's a Post-it note that looks like it's attached to someone's computer, thanking them for how they dealt with a customer. This one looks like it was attached to the fridge in a staff room, because you know what a fridge in a staff room is like. Everyone puts food in and leaves it there as it rots and so on. No one ever cleans it out. Can you imagine if you ever found someone who was actually willing to clean it out, how appreciated you'd be there. So other things you can do is just leave a little thank you note on someone's desk, or as I said, on a computer screen. If someone has written a letter for you or written a report and really done a good job, put a little note on that as well. Actually, my business card, and at this point I hand you all business cards, but of course I can't do that either. But my business card actually consists of a series of Post-it notes, and it's the only thing where I say, if I give you my business card, you have to promise you'll actually use it. Not necessarily going to contact me, but you go out and find a few people to give a little thank you note to. So those are the 5 ingredients of meaningful, great staff recognition. And at this point, I think you should be unmuted, because I'll deal with questions now. And then I have one last little story to wrap up. And hopefully I've stayed within my allocated time, which I didn't check on. So, hello?
Thank you for a lovely presentation.
Thank you, Ajal. Appreciate that.
I'm already thinking of some people I can send notes to.
A handwritten note is really powerful. By the way, at the end, I'll make you a couple offers, which sounds like I'm trying to sell you something, but I'm not. But I'll send you some additional information if you want. But when we get to the end, I will tell you what that is. Any other questions, comments?
Just a comment on that. Now, when you talk about writing in red ink, son number 3, I number him just to irritate them, lives in Seoul, South Korea. In Korean culture, it's very impolite to be writing in red. And if you write someone's name in red, it is considered a death threat. Don't take a red pen to Korea.
Okay, thank you.
Wow.
I appreciate that. I probably wouldn't. I wonder how teachers that go from North America to teach in Korea adjust to that, how quickly.
They learn very quickly.
I bet you they would. I was thinking, as we said that, I was thinking the other thing I know is I'm actually off to Singapore in February, and I'm going to make real sure I don't have any chewing gum with me, which is another thing that we have here, but they don't have there. Any other comments? Or?
Okay, any further questions? Go ahead, Jonathan. Yes.
I was just gonna say the next time you're in town there, we'll have to have you on the show and we can talk about this on the show.
Oh, that's Bryce?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. And I could actually see someone at the same time and have someone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, you can actually pour that Coke for us and get the fizz down. we could really make it interactive.
Okay, good.
But
Okay.
you should have introduced, you should have asked one of the strangers in the coffee shop to sit across from you, so you had somebody to talk to. Was there any possibility for that?
I never thought of it. Actually, I was, we were over in Granville Island. We were coming back downtown on a bus, and there was, I got talking to the woman sitting next to me, and I should have invited her. I almost said, you know, I'm doing a show in Vancouver. I'm on. I'll give you a free ticket or something. I could have bought her a coffee, and she could have sat there and wondered what the heck she'd got herself into.
Doing a show. Yes, that's right. Awesome.
Well, I keep saying, occasionally I say, I've spoken a few times in Las Vegas, and I say, well, you know, I'm just going to Las Vegas to perform. So, okay, any more questions? Okay, well, let me wrap up with this little story. We have a couple. They're sitting in their living room. He's obviously reading the newspaper, and she's knitting. And she puts down her knitting, and she looks across at her husband and says, "You never tell me you love me." And he puts down his newspaper and makes eye contact with her, and he says, "Well, I told you I loved you when we got married 30 years ago. If anything changes, I'll be sure to let you know." And, you know, that's a little bit like how we sometimes hire people. We bring them into the organization. We welcome them. We say, "Really glad you've joined us." And then they never get any more feedback. And, yeah, that's just unfortunate. So if you want to contact me, or here's my website, and you can follow me on Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn, and there's my phone number, and I think I should have my email address here, but I don't. And it's just N as in Nelson, M as in Scott, or M as in mother, N as in Nelson, M as in mother, Scott at TELUS.net on those days when TELUS email is working.
Okay. Nelson, did you put something on your screen?
Oh, you think?
Then you need to share it with us. Would be nice. Thank you.
Okay, you aren't seeing my screen anymore.
No, because I took it off so we could see the question.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. It's going to take me a moment.
Or if it's just an email address, he could put it in chat.
You know, no, he didn't.
I could, couldn't I? You really are challenging me on this Zoom thing.
That's right, but that you have to get used to. So we just make people do it. Period.
Hey, there we go.
Because you did it already, right?
Okay, I am trying to. Okay, I'm going to just put that in.
See, if you click on share and next you click on the left top corner on your computer, you share what you have on your screen. It's that simple.
Okay. Well, I just sent you my email address, but I will share the screen that I was just using, except it's blank, but that's okay. There we go.
That's a blackboard.
Yeah, that's blank, and it's on blank on purpose. So there's a couple that you didn't see.
Whoops.
There we go. And then the next thing is, there is my website, and there's my Twitter handle, and my phone number. And there's a blank screen. And I'm not going to share anymore, but I'm going to describe 4 things for you. Oh boy.
Listen, I can stop sharing.
Why don't you stop? Because I've lost my cursor now. Okay, there we go. And okay, so if you send me an email, I will send you, there are 4 things that I can send you. One is just take those 5 ingredients and give you a little bit more information and suggest ways that you can provide recognition that's great, relevant, explicit, appropriate, and timely. So do that. we were talking about how to recognize people appropriately. And there are 7 questions that you can ask to staff so you can recognize them appropriately. You can check if you want those. I can send that. As you saw, there was my whole thing is built around sticky notes. I have 17 ways you can use sticky notes as a staff recognition tool. Actually, that's on my website, but I'll send you a link to it. And obviously, Post-it notes, sticky notes are one of my favorite tools. I really like thank you notes. There are 5 other favorite tools I like to use to recognize staff, and I'll send you those as well. Okay, so if you're interested, just send me an email. By the way, if you go to my website and are interested, you can also sign up for a newsletter that comes out every couple of weeks with recognition tips and articles, and also some stuff on how to hire staff. And you can read a preview of my book, or you can buy it too, I suppose. But the preview's there. I realize I put most of it online, so why would anybody ever buy it? So, okay.
No, because there are still those that like to have a book in their hand, and it's easier to look up things, right?
It is. It is. I like that. So, I have no idea what I'm doing now. Okay, I know
you don't
what I'm
have
doing.
to do anything.
Okay.
I'm concerned.
You're probably seeing me, and I'm not seeing any of you. There we go. I'm back.
Well, that we can't help. But anyway, Nelson, it's been awesome to have you make your presentation from Vancouver all by yourself. And new experiences happen to us all the time. And indeed, thank you is not done enough. In a volunteer organization, also, we don't do it often enough and regularly enough to say thank you for all the work that we do and the different people do in our own organization of Rotary. So from the bottom of my heart, Nelson, I have only 2 words that I want to finish this with. Thank you.
You're most welcome, Peter. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. We still have some, 15 minutes, so we can do some more fellowship, some more, chatting about different things. Last night we had a meeting of leaders of the North American e-clubs. We have meetings every 2 months, and we talked there, had a presentation by 2 of them, one from England, one from California, about the use of Workplace. And Workplace is a tool, online tool, where people can do their work. It's for businesses, but also and available at no charge for non-profit organizations. Kitty is involved with that somewhat already too, because she communicates with the Innovation Club in England. And so it is something that is lacking in a lot of clubs online. In how do we communicate? How do we send things to each other? How do we do that? So this the video I have has been recorded, and it's on YouTube. It is on our YouTube channel, and it's open to the public, and I will let everybody know about that in this in the upcoming bulletin for something like that to take a look at. And there's some great ideas that came out of that for e-clubs around the world actually to start working. And for those of you that may recall, every country in the world now has a peace pole put in place, and we could build our communication with e-clubs around that in the world as well. Pretty exciting stuff. Angel, you have something to give to us?
Yes, the Majadahonda Club wants to send you our flag, but I was wondering, how do I send it to you?
We're gonna send it to Bryce because he gathers everything. We're gonna work on that because he's got the studio at his home, and so that's where we can do that. So you can find his, that's a good exercise. You can find his address in Club Runner under his name, as you remember. Then you'll find the street address, and if you could mail it to him, that would be really appreciated.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
And then Bryce will send you a handwritten thank you note.
Post-it note. Post-it note.
and Tammy will. I don't know if Tammy has sent you that, but how long are you going to be in Canada?
Until the 14th of next month.
Of next month. So you have an address we could mail something to as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you don't have to do that now. You would send an email to Tammy, and then, for instance, we could get a banner to you, because that would be neat for you to take that back.
Sure, the guys from Majadahonda will appreciate.
Yes, that's right. Okay. And again, banners are a way of saying thank you as well, I think. So quite interesting to have that. Okay, anybody else has anything else that we'd like to chat about? Yes, Janet. I muted you earlier because your mic, very good mic and headset close to your mouth.
I'm a mouth breather.
Some breathing noises.
We have this week visiting with us is Anna Bramer from Germany, and she was our Rotary Exchange student 13 years ago. She lived with us for 5 months. She left in August 13 years ago, and her birthday was 2 months later. So my husband and I went over to Germany, and we're sitting on her front step when she came home from school as a nice surprise.
Oh, total surprise. Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was. She's been here a few times. We've been there. But she's here again this week visiting us, and she's almost 30 years old. And
can you take some pictures and send
where is she?
The story to me?
Where is she?
I absolutely will.
Bring her up. Where is she?
Well, you know, my office is quite a large commute from the house.
Oh.
About 12 steps, but it's dark out, so nobody can see me.
No, but even though she's 30, if you yell, would she come?
I don't know. I could whistle.
Whistle, maybe.
All right, I'm going to mute it for 1 second, and she'll.
Okay, Jonathan, how are you doing? From time to time, you're frozen, even in a hot country of Iraq. Okay. Did you have fun? And did you enjoy? Could you follow Nelson during his presentation?
Yes, I could. Though the network is on and off, but I've learned quite a few things, especially in that area. And I think I'm going to first use it with my family first, and then I can share it with the community. I've not been good at it.
Good
Awesome.
choice. Good
Fantastic.
choice.
So
Yeah, when
That's a shame. That's a shame.
It's so tough. It's so tough. If he stopped his video, it might help, like the bandwidth. We'd still be able to hear him, but.
Jonathan, if you turn off your camera, it may help with the audio connection.
Oh, okay. So how do I do that? I'm also first timer here.
Bottom left.
Stop
I don't
video.
know what what kind of device you're using.
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying the story of the woman and the husband, not saying I love you and stuff. I think it has happened to me. When newly married, and we are 2 years. But every time my wife asks me, "Is it hard for you to say I love you?" And I'm like, "No, it's not hard, but it's not a big deal." So I've learned to actually use it more often. I think ladies like to hear that.
Well, it's great that we can send you some marital advice all the way from Canada, you know. But I assume, is she with you in Iraq or is she back home in Uganda?
No. She's back home in Uganda.
Well, then it's much easier to do it over the phone, you know.
Yes, yes.
And the exchange student is here.
Yeah. That's right.
Don't put it down.
No, that's right. Just Kitty, just a second, please. Okay, Jonathan, thank you so much. If we don't see or hear you again, look forward to seeing you again sometime in the future. This is very.
I'll always be a guest, and it's an honor and privilege to fellowship with you.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Even though it's, what, 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that? Not late, not that late.
4 p.m. now. 4
Oh, you just got up. Good. Awesome. So, we like to welcome now the guest from Germany.
Hi.
Could you introduce yourself, please? We'll do that, everybody.
Cool. Yeah, I'm Anna. I'm from Germany, from Hanover actually, which is in the middle north of Germany. And I've been on youth exchange with Rotary 13 years ago. So I went to Aurelia here in Canada. And yeah, I lived with 4 different families. One of them was yeah, Dan and Janet, and I came back for a wedding of a friend that I met 13 years ago. And so now I'm just visiting all my host families as well. So now I'm here. Yeah.
Fantastic. Welcome to our big little world, you know, because we're from all over. We have people person from Spain who is currently in Ontario. I am in the Dominican Republic. We had a visitor from Uganda who's actually in Iraq. And so Jim Kenyon is way up north. And so it's very nice to see you. Are you, have you joined Rotary?
No, I haven't yet. No, I was still in school now all the time, and yeah, I haven't done that now, but yet. But I think I need to. Yeah,
absolutely.
Such a great experience. Like I'm a fan of Rotary.
So
after
what
that.
do you do? What is your profession?
Well, I studied management and marketing in my master's, and now I started working with a RECCO company, so those pizzas that you find in the supermarket. So I'm working for that company back in Germany, and I'm in corporate development now. Yeah.
All right. Good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This is awesome. And this is, you know, I don't know if you knew about the existence of e-clubs,
nope.
But, you know, this is something that Rotary has been developing and allowing in a way too, and it is starting to take off because it allows people that have a busy life and travel and are in different places to actually stay in Rotary and continue to do work. So
we have a member in Germany near Leipzig.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, I actually never heard about the e-clubs. It's the first day today when Janet told me she's gonna go on a meeting, so it's really cool.
Right. Yes, okay.
It works well. It works very well.
Yeah.
Very nice. Any other questions for Anna? Okay.
How long are you in Canada, Anna?
Oh, just a week actually. So I just arrived last Friday for the wedding, and then yeah, I'm here now, and I'm going home on Saturday. So yeah, just a week. Good. So yeah.
Good.
Good. Do you have a family?
No.
Just by yourself. Okay.
Just by
Easy
myself.
to travel.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey.
Okay.
Well,
very nice meeting you, and it's great to you know how that connection stays with between you and Janet and her husband, and
yeah,
continues to be so. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I love it. So yeah, thank you. It was great meeting you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Hope to see you back next time as a Rotarian.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you. Okay, great.
Just a side note, Peter, the bell did show up. So I have the bell.
Yeah, it did show up. Yeah.
Yes.
Bruce said he mailed it, so I figured it would.
Yeah, it's actually been here for a while. I just forgot.
Yeah. No, not worried because the gavel and the big plaque were still at David's.
Gotcha.
You know, and it's next time Jean-Michel goes north or somebody else, but you know, they will bring it and come and visit you. So
sounds good.
Jean-Michel will probably be the one to do that. He's most often going to
Edmonton,
I think, more often than David.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
It's been great, everybody. I think. One thing is to remember a new event that we have coming up on September 4th, the bag lunch. And I don't know if you were aware of that, Angel, but it is trying to make people aware of Rotary and our club. And so we're going to have a half-hour meeting on the first Wednesday of every month. Invite people to bring a guest. And if there's non-Rotarians, we will do a bit of an educational program. The membership committee has organized that too. So you will get some more emails about that in the next little while as well. but it is something to try and help and stimulate. It's similar to the coffee chat, but it would be on a different day and a different time as well. So other parts of the world be more convenient to meet at that time.
That might be a very good time for Jonathan, a more appropriate time for Jonathan too.
Well, it looks to me like Jonathan doesn't go to bed at all. He just stays up all the time.
Yeah, the weather is kind of hot here, so we tend to work during the night, and then during the day we sleep a bit.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, I've been actually awake.
Yeah, that's right. You know, some of those the temperatures like that is just unbelievable. How that is. So very good. Okay, everybody, I will stop the recording. Thank you all very much for attending. You never know what happens at these meetings, you know?
Thank you, Peter.